So one morning, leaving New Orleans on a New Year's Day, right and head back to Chicago, she said that we should stop at a Denny's for breakfast. And I get it. Remember being a goth drama kid hanging out at Denny's at all hours of the night because you were too young to drink at a bar. But I don't go to Denny's because one year, after partying for New Year's in DC, Paul, one of my buddies that was there, said that he wanted to go to this diner in Delaware for breakfast. Now, we hadn't had anything to eat, and we'd been drinking forever for New Year's, and so we thought that this would be a great idea, and so off we went. Now, as I said, we hadn't eaten, and we were starving in Maryland, so once we saw exits to Annapolis, we thought, well, this is a cool place to grab something to eat. And we walked into an empty Denny's, which didn't even have locks on the doors because they're always open. And they set us at a booth and they took our order. The waitress brought Paul's Grand Slam and whatever I ordered. An omelet, hash browns. But after we started eating, a really big man entered Denny's. And even though the Denny's was empty, they sat him right behind me in the booth right next to us. And he was built like Chief Wiggum. And he shook my seat when he worked his way in. I thought of that Simpsons episode where Wiggum was in a booth at a diner and Lou had to stab Wiggum's seat with a switchblade, popping it like a balloon so that Wiggum could actually get out of the booth. So he was in his seat, and he moved my booth seat 6 inches toward my table, and he immediately lit up a huge cigar that smelled like burning manure. Now, how would I know what burning manure smells like? Well, look, I worked on a farm. I lived on one for a bit, so when I tried to eat right there, all I could smell was that burning manure. So, not 2 minutes after Wiggum sat down, I started hearing noises from my seat, and it started moving from the guy behind me. A minute into the gurgling noises, which sounded more and more like heaves, I suddenly heard what sounded like wet concrete splattering against cement. This man right behind me was shaking and threw up for over 1 minute. Now, instead of burning manure, it could all smell was like his alcohol and bile. So I said to Paul right then and there, we are leaving and not paying for this food. Still eating, Paul said, what? Why? So after I tyrannically whispered about the smells and sounds of the fat man's vomiting escapades, this nonplussed friend of mine, Paul, relented and followed me to leave. I gave the waitress a tip, but the people at Denny's understood why we wouldn't pay. So yeah, we did go to that diner in Delaware, and the food was good, and no one vomited. And you know, for a minute there, I even thought about getting biscuits and gravy. But that New Year's, I resolved to never eat at Denny's again.